Hey, Brian here. Quick video about my amp that I recently acquired. So it's a Fender Pro Reverb from 1980, the 70-watt model with push-pull. And it's the export one, so it's got the voltage, oops, let's roll it out here, the voltage selector here on the back. Anyway, so it's got the push-pull master volume, which I never use. It's just like a crude kind of distortion circuit. So I always just leave it pushed, which bypasses that. Tremolo, that I never use. So I leave it at 0, and eventually I'll do the tremolo mod, the bypass mod, where the intensity switch you replace with one that's got a switch in it. Or intensity pot you replace with one that's got a switch, so when you turn it off, it bypasses that whole circuit. It's got reverb, a spring tank in the back, and I use reverb quite a lot, but the reverb tube driver is a 12A T7 normally, and I replaced it with a U7 because that runs it less. It's harder on the tube. The tube runs a lot harder, but you get more control out of the reverb, because normally with that 12AT7 at like 2, it's already too intense. So you can turn it up higher now and have more control over the reverb. But it's pretty damn hard on the tube. I mean, it gets wicked hot. So I've had that AU7 in there now for a good 2 months or so, and it hasn't died yet. So I'll see how long it'll last. Bright switch. I leave it in the off position because it gets super bright in the vibrato channel. And then on the normal channel, again, the bright switch. It's easier to use on the normal channel, but I usually leave it in the off position as well. And then just standard volume, treble, middle, and bass for the EQ. And as you can see, I've got both plugged in because I've got them running in this buffered ABY switch that I built. And it's got a phase inverter here on the back that you can use to flip the vibrato channel out of phase, because it is out of phase with the normal channel standard. So you have to flip the phase on one of the channels to get them to run together right. I put a ton of work into it because when I first got it, probably around 2 months ago, it was just covered in dirt, and all these metal parts were rusted out. I'll show them to you here. So these were the original feet or corners that it came with. These were the chassis straps. So this compared to that, I mean, it's just crazy how rusty it was. And I probably spent hours scrubbing down the Tulex because it was brown with dirt. The guy I bought it from, I think he must have left it in a barn for years. Just anyway, the inside of the chassis was perfect, and I'll throw up pictures to show you the inside of the chassis. It wasn't too bad. These were the amp handle pieces that I replaced, and one of them I tried to, with a Dremel, polish up, but it just wouldn't have come out right, so I decided to just get all new metal parts for it. It's up on wheels now. It didn't come with wheels. Got new legs, so those are pretty cool looking. I mean, the original legs weren't, well, they're terrible as you can see, but they weren't too terrible compared to the chassis straps and the corners. Now this was when I first got it, the reverb didn't work, and this is the original reverb driver, and as you can see, the getter down there is gone, nearly. I mean, it's white and should look something like this. Shiny metal. Anyway, so replace the tube driver, and then the reverb came back to life, so I was happy about that. I thought at first that it might have been the actual tube tank that was dead. Here's the back. Oh. I don't know if it'll come through on this video, but as you can hear, even with it off and the tubes biased right and balanced right, the power transformer hums a little, and it'll go away when you touch it. So I think it might be vibrating, something like that, at 60 hertz or whatever it is here. But maybe that'll need replacing one day. So these are the two power tubes. It's rated at 70 watts. Where is that speaker out? 70 watts RMS. We've got the normal channel preamp, vibrato channel preamp. That's the tube driver. You can see, I don't know if you can tell how red it is, and I won't touch it because it gets hot as hell. Reverb, recovery tube, and half of the, what's it called? Half of the vibrato channel preamp again, tremolo circuit, and the phase inverter tube. And for a while I stuck a different tube in there. I think it normally comes with a 12AX, and I stuck an AT in there. And it lowers the overall volume and gives you less clean headroom, but it was really took away from the attack, and it just wasn't right. So I put the other one back in there. The two speakers, maybe one day I'll replace those because the paper cone in there is a little eaten away at. And down here is the spring tank. And the back of this amp, when I got it, was just kind of filled with dirt and grime. So I took the whole tank out. The tank was fine, but the bag, that leather bag that it was in, was just completely covered in dust and dirt and caked on. So scrubbed away at that for a little while with some dish soap, and it eventually went away. What's really cool is it's got this output tubes matching, and you can, when you lower, the procedure that I follow is lower the master volume and the two other volumes on the channels, and then get in there with a flathead screwdriver and balance them. It should hopefully be somewhere around the middle of the pot, and that takes away nearly all the hum. And then crank those three knobs and twist the hum balance until it gets pretty quiet. And so it's on now, and the only thing making noise is the power transformer. So it's not too bad. It could be a little quieter, but it's fine right now. All right, let's get some sounds out of it. So I've got it in the vibrato channel now. So you can hear I've got quite a bit of reverb going, even though it's only on 4 right now on the reverb knob, and with the 12AU7. So it gets pretty heavy on the reverb, and if you turn that up, here's 6. So that's a little bit too much for my liking, but right around 4 is good. And with the AT7 in there, I had to lower it to like 1.5 or 2, and then it just got way too heavy, way too much. The tremolo works. And then you can raise the speed. Yeah. Usually bypass that, and one day, as I said, I'll mod that and just completely bypass the circuit. Here's the normal channel. What's cool about this ABY, instead of turning the reverb off, you get trails, which is really cool. So if I turn the reverb off while going through the foot switch on the vibrato channel, and then hit that, it just instantly cuts it off. But if I switch from vibrato to normal channel, the tail of the last reverb still goes through. I'll exaggerate that by turning up more reverb. So that's pretty darn cool. Anyway, and then I'll do them now in Y together, and the volume will raise quite a lot. But I really like this sound with the two channels together. Up and, oops, back in the vibrato channel. The bright switch and the normal channel. So it's got less of an effect on the normal channel, but you can still hear it kicking in. And what I like to do in Y is turn on the bright channel on the normal. And if I do the opposite with bright on in the vibrato channel and it off in the normal with the Y, it sounds pretty good, but it's a little too bright for me. Kick that on. And I'll demonstrate quickly why you need a phase inverter if you're running them in Y. So here's it out of phase. You can't hear anything really. You're probably hearing my guitar more than you are the amp. And if I switch those out of phase, there you go. What can we do to it? I guess we could push it really hard. Turn on a couple. This is probably just going to clip my phone so it's probably useless to do this. Anyway, that's my amp. I dig it. Thanks for watching.